Right now, we're looking at a time where the availability of heroin on the streets of America has never been so plentiful.
Oh, it's so bad.
Your brain screams at you, do drugs. You need them. You need them to feel better.
The drugs, the heroin, it's pouring in.
Our first mission is that we do enforcement. We're out on the streets, we're knocking down cartel activity.
We are gluttons for opioids.
It's literally a roller coaster of hell.
You're like scared to go.
You're stuck.
I woke up and she was blue in the face. There was blood all over the place.
It came to a point that feeding my addiction was more important than feeding my daughter.
We also treat addiction like a moral deficiency.
I have a college degree, a master's degree, but I can't go get a job with my arms like this.
Yes, you can. That's bullshit. You need to go to the hospital, honey. You die, honey. If we treated it like a medical situation and not a criminal justice system, we would be much more ahead of where we're at right now.
Good evening. I'm Ed Greenberger in Austin. More than $1 trillion. That's one estimate of the economic toll opioids have had on our country since 2001. And that number only expected to climb. Behind that staggering figure, the stories of countless lives lost and ruined by this insidious epidemic. Tonight, we'll take you to the front lines of Central Texas's war on opioids and introduce you to some of the people who live and breathe it every day. Up first, Mark Kinsley, a self-described streetologist and recovering addict who's devoted his life to helping save users caught in the grip of addiction.
There's a lot of different forms of syringe exchange programs. This happens to be one form of it, and this is a mobile unit that goes out into the community where people live, where they function. I'm not condoning or condemning someone's drug use. They're using already. What I'm saying is that I want you to do what you're doing as safe as possible.
So just drop those in there.
What would you like?
Give me 1 28 and 2 30s.
Okay.
We'll ask them what size syringes that they want, because we have anywhere from a 27 gauge to a 31 gauge and everything in between. One will feel like a bee sting, the other one will feel like a mosquito bite. And depending upon what drug they're injecting at the time, 27s, 28s are popular because they don't clog. Because if a syringe clogs, they go into desperation mode because now they're not getting their shot. And so what we try to do is teach them vein cultivation and things like that as well.
How old are you?
21.
Private insurance? Yeah. Make sure you get whatever you need here in supplies to stay safe, okay?
We have the ties where they can tie themselves off. We have alcohol swabs where they can clean the site. We personally put these little ties on the cookers so they don't burn their fingers. Blisters, will have blood in them or whatnot. If that blister pops, there's blood. And if it's Hep C, it can live outside the body anywhere from, let's say, 4 hours to days.
So 50 in, 50 out.
All right. Sounds good.
Mixture of. Do whatever else you need, bro.
Appreciate it.
Let me tell you what's going on here in Texas. We're number 2 in the United States for healthcare costs associated with opioid misuse. We have 4 of the top 25 cities in the United States for prescription drug abuse. And we are on the border of the country where the majority of illicit drugs coming into this country is from. Texas is in the crosshairs.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Be safe.
You too.
All right. What do you think? Move it on? Let's do it. I'm the third of 4 children. So there's 3 boys and my sister, who is the youngest. My oldest brother, who was my hero, my idol, was ahead of his time in a lot of ways and was really popular. People loved him, great personality, and I just wanted to be around him all the time. However, in the summer of 1978, my brother was tragically killed. The way that I handled that particular tragedy is that I was introduced to a street medication that I used at his wake, and I went from suicidal that day to felt like everything was going to be okay. The problem with that is that became my coping mechanism for a long time. And so as a result of that, get a lot of years clean, relapse, a lot of years clean, relapse, great things in my life, family, ended up using again and losing all those things.
You know how it is. If you go for a week straight doing it, then
Sure.
they'll come right back.
Absolutely.
The withdrawals,
It always does, man.
Yeah,
I do see a lot of myself in them. In particular, I know what they have in front of them if they don't get the help that they need.
Yeah, one of our friends took some Xanax and did it.
I was going to ask if there was any benzos on,
Yeah,
on
took some
board.
Xanax and then fell out. I had to hit her with it twice, woke up, and then the next day did it again. So I just saved her 2 days in a row.
Wow.
I've probably hit like 10 people in the past year, and almost all of them were like beginners who were just like, oh, I'll be fine. It's like, and me and her know how it is, so we're like, dude, this isn't a game. Like,
Over the past 25 years, I've seen approximately 20 to 25% more people dying from opioid overdose.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. All right, be safe.
We're seeing a younger population being introduced to opioids. We have to address this.
Heroin has hit mainstream. It's right now the most of the people are little college kids. I mean, you just went between 19 and 25. That's the majority right now. It's not seedy like it was before.
We've seen opioids and prescription drugs in general now become the category number 2 drug most abused behind marijuana. Domestically, the opioid abuse problem started here at home with the abuse of pills.
The rate of addiction amongst pain patients who are treated by doctors is much less than 1%. They don't wear out, they go on working, they do not have serious medical side effects, and so these drugs, which I repeat are our best, strongest pain medications, should be used much more than they are for patients in pain.
Yeah, I've had back surgery. The doctors are like giving so much Vicodin, since the very beginning.
Doctors started writing at a level that we had never seen before, right? And opioids started showing up in communities that had not experienced opioid use in the past.
I hope to God that I never get to the point that I'm just a drug addict and nothing more.
I want you to know something. If you ever decide you want to get like methadone, Suboxone, treatment, detox, we can help with that. I'd say probably about 10-15% of the people that get our services end up going to treatment. I think there are many more people that would go into treatment if they could. It's just not available.
One of the biggest threats that we see on the streets today is really fentanyl coming into the United States, and we see it coming over from Southeast Asia into Mexico, but also being shipped directly into the United States. And what the average person on the streets doesn't understand about fentanyl is that it's a very powerful synthetic opioid.
Fentanyl is 100 times more powerful than morphine, 50 to 60 times more powerful than heroin.
This is just your common average everyday sugar pack. It has 1,000 milligrams of sugar in it. And when you're looking at the potency of fentanyl and what we're seeing on the streets, it's only a couple of milligrams is enough to kill someone.
Were you the one who gave it or the one who got it?
She overdosed.
Oh, so you gave it to her?
Yeah.
Okay.
She had like turned purple and stopped breathing.
Okay.
So
Did you end up doing rescue breathing at all? So you called
not
911?
with her, with another friend of mine. We had to drag him to the bathtub and put an ice bath. And,
You don't know what you're getting from one day to the next. There's no quality control on the corner. And so we started to see people start to have these fatal overdoses.
When you hit a fentanyl shot, it's fire from head to toe. And immediately you begin to swim in your head, and then boom, I was out. My son, if he wouldn't have been there to hit me with that naloxone, I would have been dead.
So this is the intermuscular kits that we hand out on the syringe exchange van. Each one of these kits comes with 3 doses of naloxone that's already pre-dosed, 1 ml, which is the recommended dosage for reversing an overdose. That right there, a little bit of liquid, is enough to save a life.
Say do not breathing.
It is oftentimes called Lazarus because people literally get brought back from the dead. Literally. It's non-addictive, it has no street value, you can't overdose on it. If you take too much of it, the worst thing that's going to happen, which is not pleasant, is precipitated withdrawal. Precipitated withdrawal, hands down, beats dead. We started distributing naloxone on the syringe exchange program in March of 2014. We've had well over 400 rescues. So you're going to go into, muscle, large muscle, so either the thigh, the booty, or the arm, okay? The only thing that we're mandated to do in here at the end of the day is keep somebody alive long enough to hear hope. That's our job. Like, people that are dead don't get better. Make sure you get whatever you need here in supplies. And until we deal with the underlying issues in a loving and caring manner, we will not see the end of this. We won't see the end of it.
It's literally a roller coaster of hell.
You're like scared to get off.
You're stuck.
Why don't you just stop?
Well,
Why don't you just stop?
there's a lot of answers. So right now, why not take our next shot?
The casualties in this war? The addicted millions, desperate and living from one fix to the next. Their fathers and mothers, sons and daughters, caught in the tightening noose of drug dependency. They live a perilous existence, walking a razor-thin line between life and death. We spent time with 2 people who many of us simply walk by without much thought. Meet Caitlin and Matt.
I'm gonna pour a little water for these little munchkins. They're so thirsty.
I'm Matt, I'm 26 years old. I moved to Austin about 5 years ago. I was studying film, screenwriting.
I'm Caitlin. I'm 21. I'm not very good at having jobs. I don't know.
Now our family is us and
Gizmo,
we got
a little fat boy.
So wait, we got Go-Go first.
Yeah, we got Go-Go first.
What, maybe almost a
Like,
year ago?
yeah, probably about a year ago.
And she's our baby girl.
How long have you been using? How long has it been?
2 years.
2 years, probably.
That's
more
every
or
day.
less. Yeah, every day for 2 years.
So this is a little over half a gram that we're splitting.
When we started doing it regularly, we were getting like really drunk every day. So we weren't really thinking at the time.
Yeah.
We were just getting.
We were just living recklessly. And then we decided we wanted to stop living recklessly, and the drug said, nope, you have to keep doing me if you don't want to be sick.
If you can imagine replacing all of the blood in a vein with heroin, it doesn't feel good.
It hurts so bad.
Plus it's sore.
Why don't you just stop?
Well,
Why don't you
there's,
just stop?
there's a lot of answers. So right now, why not take our next shot? Because we will feel extremely bad if we don't.
Yeah, you know, it changes the way your brain functions. It's gonna, like, however bad you feel, it's gonna make you think you feel 10 times worse, and you already feel really bad.
Not to mention your dealer's texting you, hey, you need anything?
Yeah, because they don't know you're trying to quit, you know.
When you're like, yes, I do.
And your friends show
Yes,
up and
I
they're
do.
like, you know.
And you can even just try to get out of it. Say, I don't have any money, man. Sorry. They'll go, oh, if you're sick, man, I got you. You can pay me back later. Okay, so we have somebody right now who wants half a gram, and they're asking if I have any needles. He's asking if I can come right now. It's the morning time, so this guy probably woke up with nothing, and he's probably really sick, and he's probably trying to get me to get there as soon as possible. So if we help him go get that, there's a good chance he'll break us off a good amount of half a gram. So
we'll get something.
That's what we need to do right now. Right now it's beautiful outside. It's a good day. If you know what middling is, you know you're going to be giving that middle person a little bit of it. That's just how the game is.
If you don't, they're never gonna help you again.
Yeah, I'll never help a person.
Or they'll just take it.
So is that how you get by every day?
Yeah, that's one way.
Hi.
I just ran into a friend in there. She needs a ride to get cigarettes.
Hello.
She's gonna sit. She's gonna sit in the front.
Oh my God, they've gotten bigger. Hi, Gizmo.
Gizmo's huge.
Come here, baby. Oh my God, he's gotten so fat.
Caitlin, doesn't she look a lot better?
Don't I look better?
You do. Actually,
Do I?
You look really healthy.
Do I really? Yeah. Bro, 43 days.
So Madeline,
She's just some cute little 19-year-old girl that
her boyfriend got her into it.
So the rehab I went to, they were, it did make me like
Have you
get
gotten-
sober and stay sober.
Dude, hopefully we can get into a detox soon and get clean, get out, and get drunk at bars together.
Well,
we went to rehab.
Yeah, we went to a detox.
Or a detox, and they said we will put you on an 8-week waiting list.
Yeah, because we don't have
Which-
insurance, so it's government funded, limited beds.
And we haven't heard from them since.
Yeah, if you've got
we've
money,
heard
it's probably
sometimes They
easy.
don't even end up following through with that.
I'm gonna talk to them. I'm gonna see if they'll because they do scholarships. I'm gonna like talk to them and see if they'll like get you on there.
We just want to
Yeah.
get into somewhere or anywhere.
I mean, it took me 2 rehabs to get to that point. Like, this may not be it for y'all, but if it is, like, that'd be tight.
Yeah.
Because honestly, getting off of that I feel so much better.
Yeah.
I really do. And, like, I have my family back. Like,
Yeah. My parents, they want the best for me. I totally get it. I've let them down so much, and they wanted me to be in college and all this stuff and be an accountant, and just, it's not me. And they don't understand that I don't want to be that person. I don't want to live that life. And it makes me feel worthless. And of course, that's a reason I'll go to drugs, because
You don't want to feel that anymore. We're pretty much shunned by most of society,
Yeah.
which means we have no support system. There's not much access to help.
over 100 units.
They seem really thick. You're working in like an 8-hour cycle. Every 8 hours you have to do a shot, like 8 to 12. You know, 12 is kind of pushing it. I think just because it's a really damaged vein, like I haven't had that since I first hit my foot. You know.
Mm-hmm. It's literally a roller coaster of hell. But when you come around to the finish of the roller coaster, you just keep going. You don't get off the ride.
You're like scared to get off.
You're stuck in a cycle. We do want to get off heroin. It'll be hard, but yeah, I'm gonna start trying to do that. So if I can get clean, Caitlin says she might need to go to a facility to actually get through it, that she thinks she needs that to get through it. If it doesn't work on my own, then I'll consider going to a facility, but I'm gonna give it my best shot, taking some medicine to keep me from being sick, and
hopefully it works out.
Cross our fingers.
Texas is on the front line, being a border state. We are their first stop when the drugs are smuggled into the United States.
We're out on the streets, we're knocking down cartel. That's our mission, to target and dismantle those organizations.
Federal, state, and local officials doing battle here in Texas to clamp down on the supply of opioids flowing into the state from Mexico. In recent years, new and frightening man-made opiates finding their way onto the street and into the hands of users. This new breed of synthetic drugs offers a hyper-potent and highly lethal fix that can bring about a nearly instant dependency, making the stakes higher than ever. The battle, a two-pronged attack, educating the public about opioid dangers, paired with sophisticated tactics designed to find these drugs before they claim more lives.
Texas is on the front line, being a border state. We are their first stop when the drugs are smuggled into the United States. The problem started with the overprescribing of opioid pain medication. That led to increased heroin use. The Mexican cartels see an opportunity here, so they increase their production of heroin and heroin distribution in the United States. People move from the pills to the heroin because heroin is less expensive. Now you introduce heroin that has fentanyl laced in it.
We're going to build a wall. It's going to be built. The drugs, the heroin, it's pouring in, and it's so cheap because there's so much of it. We're going to end it. We're going to end it. We're going to end it at the southern border. It's going to be over.
Will it stop the drugs from coming in to the country? No. By the time they get done building the wall, they're going to have to close the tunnels that are already there because they're 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps ahead. And you can't stop all the drugs.
Fentanyl is being shipped into the United States directly from China via the FedEx, UPS, or other mail carriers, and is coming direct nonstop into Texas and other parts of the United States.
Just one of these?
Yeah.
How did fentanyl become available to you? Like, what did that look like for you?
I was very tech savvy, so just being on the dark net, seeing that it was available on there.
The dark web has allowed the drug traffickers that used to operate in the dark alleys in the inner cities of our country can now be accessed from the comfort of your living room couch.
It's like Amazon for drugs. There are a lot of vendors on the dark net who have major reputations, and you can see if they start sending bad drugs to somebody, then they're going to get bad feedback for it, and then people are going to be less likely to order from that person.
Jacob is someone that's in his early 20s that has utilized safe injection equipment, and he's never overdosed, although he's playing with fire. How was that delivered? Through a mail system, or did you have to go pick it up somewhere?
USPS.
USPS?
Yeah.
DEA is working with our law enforcement partners and our international partners, and we're working with the Chinese to conduct enforcement operations against foreign nationals who are manufacturing, producing fentanyl and shipping it to the United States.
Hopefully about 10,000 pounds of that, 6,000 pounds is actually opioid related or amphetamine related, which we could get those off the street, providing a good service. Our first mission is that we do enforcement. We're out on the streets, we're knocking down cartel activity, people bringing in large shipments of narcotics into the United States. That's our mission, to target and dismantle those organizations. But at the same time, over the last multiple years, we've been working hand in hand with universities. We can cover K2, fentanyl, we'll do counterfeit pills.
That's great.
That's great. So we'll have to tell the SS.
Heroin use is happening in almost every college campus across the country.
It's really important to us that recovery is recognized as part of a giant network of other services that are all interlinked.
We're trying to be proactive instead of reactive. This age group has the biggest trouble with substances. We've always seen a greater proportion of students who are struggling with opioids than you might see out in the general population.
Our job is to give them the tools to stay as safe as possible. So I'm not going to go. University of Texas students, they have naloxone and Narcan on every floor of every dormitory. And every RA is trained in how to recognize, respond, and evaluate an overdose. And to the credit of the University of Texas Police Department, every officer carries naloxone with them and are trained in overdose prevention.
We have a responsibility to protect our students. And number one is you save their lives. Whatever we need to do to save somebody's life, we're going to do that.
Narcan or naloxone is a drug that will reverse the effects of opioid overdoses. One of the things that we're seeing out on the streets, though, is because of the availability of Narcan, people aren't heeding the warning of the dangers of these drugs.
Do you need any naloxone or Narcan?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get that for you in a second.
They think, if I overdose, my friend is here, they can shoot me with a Narcan, and I will be okay. The same thing goes in the needle exchange program, but it's not solving the problem.
What syringe exchange also does, all the research data shows, it decreases people's drug use. They're much more likely to enter drug treatment. And so that's why we do what we do.
Hey, I appreciate it. No worries, bro. Y'all have a good one. Be safe, man.
I think we're coming together as a community and recognizing we need to be able to respond as a community. And whether it's happening right here on the campus or whether it's happening in our greater Austin area or across the state, UT wants to be part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem.
Heroin gripped me like nothing else in my life could grip me, not even my daughter. When it came to a point that feeding my addiction was more important than feeding her, I started to fall apart.
Welcome back. I'm Ed Greenberger. The numbers are daunting. By some estimates, 90% of opioid users will relapse as they try to break free from the stranglehold of addiction. But freedom from addiction isn't completely out of reach. There is always hope. Recovery Unplugged is a therapy program that uses music and self-expression to help substance abusers travel this difficult path. For patients like Kendra, it's been instrumental to their salvation.
So this is, I'm not sure if it's done. I've been writing it over the last couple of days. It's called Don't, and it's about the grip of heroin and how strong it can be. I was sitting writing songs, my back against your door.
Austin is known as the music capital of the country. For me, it is the place that saved my life. My name is Kendra, and I knew as a musician that I needed something different, and I had this moment of clarity where I decided to search for music therapy and in rehab, and this is the first place that came up.
Are all the things that we forget when standing heart to heart.
Recovery Unplugged is a lot of different things. First and foremost, it's a drug and alcohol treatment center. We have a detox as well. Paisley, be rain. We like to consider what we do therapy with music. If you're not creating, you're destroying. And what we find is in the open mic group, they're creating so much that we're changing the chemistry in these addicts' brains to get them to enjoy creation.
When the addiction's running the show, music, art, any creative expression allows people to, you can't help but have the authenticity come through.
Heroin, pure evil, oh opiates that take myself away. Elusive, I miss you, but the truth is, I hate you. Comfort has...
It's a lot of self-expression and allowing people to have the space to actually do that and to learn how to define themselves, because with addiction, we really get lost. And when you actually see them figure that out, I think is really lovely.
I was powerless to the game. Heroin was my master, and crack made me insane. There's so many opportunities to grow as a musician or artist, whatever you do. I have been to treatment 25 times since I was 15. I love everything in life when I'm sober, but when I'm not, I want to die. I'm hopeless. So it's nice. I actually really want to do this for once. So.
I'm glad you're here, Emery.
Thank you.
Put your hands together for Emery.
I would say, gosh, easily over 80% of what we're dealing with is opioids.
Dear Sterling, first off I want to apologize for my role in your death. So one of my best friends, we were using together. I shot him up. Seeing your face when I woke up is still stuck in my brain and probably always will be. I nodded out for a little bit, and when I woke up, he was dead.
When I see people come in that are straight alcoholism or straight pills or marijuana, it's kind of like the unicorn.
Okay, I'm gonna give her a call. From a very young age, I started using drugs and alcohol just to fit in, and being a musician and being in the arts and being so, moody. But once I started smoking heroin, I mean, I couldn't stop. I mean, it's just, you can't stop when you start without a lot of help from other people.
Mommy.
Hi.
How many more days until we get a new cousin?
I don't know, sweetie. Heroin gripped me like nothing else in my life could grip me, not even my daughter, who is the most important thing in the world to me. And when it came to a point that feeding my addiction was more important than feeding her breakfast, I started to fall apart. Okay, sweetie. I love you too, sweetie. I love you so much. So I told my daughter that I was going to mommy school, and every time she would ask me when I'm coming home, I would just tell her that my teachers think I need to learn some more lessons so that I can be the best mommy that I can be for her. I got stuck inside a room without a door. I was trying to make my way out through the floor. I got here and still wasn't even sure that I was gonna get clean until this place started to open my eyes to the reality of my sickness. Oh, my friend, it's not easy, I know. Oh, my friend, we've got so much farther to go. They turned me around, and the music and just the freedom to just open myself and to be able to do that and breathe a sigh of relief here. This place goes deeper and goes to places that I never even knew I could go, and it's changed me for sure. And I have to be in my daughter's life as long as I possibly can. It's not even a question. It's scary, but this has to be it for me, for her.
Your brain screams at you at certain points in time. Do drugs. You need them. You need them to feel better.
The big dream is to stop seeing young people dying of opioid use disorder and to see a hell of a lot more young people in recovery.
groundbreaking program here in the Lone Star capital is working to stop the downward spiral of addiction before it snatches another young life. University High is a fully functioning secondary school tucked away on the UT campus, and the curriculum is a blend of traditional instruction, rehabilitation, and recovery.
So 6 times -2, what is that?
If you're going to add or subtract, your denominators have to be the same.
What class are you working on, Angie? Biology, okay. On the surface, it looks like a regular high school, but then you see everything that goes on behind the scenes and all the extra programming that we throw in there. And it's really an opportunity for the students here to have a safe place where they're not going back to their old peer environments.
We talked yesterday when we were in a meeting, Joe and I, about changing habits and doing things sober that you used to do.
University High School is a recovery high school, and what that means is that we have young people here that are in recovery from alcohol and other drugs.
I've been to treatment twice.
Probably 10 to 15% opioids were their drug of choice.
I just want to be happy. I just want to be okay.
My name is John Ingham. I'm a person in recovery from substance use, and I serve as the student engagement coordinator of University High School.
So I have like some stuff that's been cropping up in my life lately.
When I was younger, there was a prescription that was going to one of my close relatives, and it was 270 Percocet per month. And so that supply, I mean, it's too much for one person to take, right? So I was able to take that and be able to get my own fix myself. And my sister was addicted to the prescriptions that she was getting too. She was probably one of the most caring people. She had this laugh that was absolutely unbelievably hilarious to listen to, and it lit up a room. Anytime she was around, you knew that she was present. She had gotten a hold of a prescription, and it was those Percocets, and she had taken about a third of the dose that she normally did, and her body just couldn't take it anymore. By 10 a.m. I woke up and she was blue in the face, there was blood all over the place, and I tried waking her up and I couldn't, and she passed away from an overdose.
So think about it like just in fractions, like take the pluses and minuses out of it and just think about just fractions. How would you add fractions?
I was 14 when I started sneaking pills. They were so prevalent where I lived. You could buy them from quite a few people. Once I turned 18, I was quickly introduced to heroin, which just took over my whole thought process.
University High School exists because adolescents have been in need of recovery services for a long time. It was started by Dr. Lori Holleran-Steicher, who's a professor over here at University of Texas in the School of Social Work.
The board makes fun of me. They say that I can't talk about the high school without crying, and that is absolutely true. The big dream is to stop seeing young people dying of opioid use disorder and to see a hell of a lot more young people in recovery.
Your brain screams at you at certain points in time. Do drugs. You need them. You need them to feel better.
I think one of the most important things that we can do is to continue to put it on a platform with other chronic diseases. And then to also show that individuals can recover as well.
Going back to regular high school, I couldn't be around a bunch of normies. It's hard to honestly even talk to people who are just normal. But I mean, if I have someone who's been through something similar to what I've been through, then I feel a lot better about myself.
This is a supportive place for you to go to high school. And not just a transitional kind of step off in between, you know, treatment and going back to your neighborhood high school, but where you stay and graduate. Each year, 100% of our students who have been on track to graduate have graduated. Many are going on to college. Many are staying sober, not all. Some have had slips and then, you know, gotten back on track again.
On a serious note, can you do me a favor over the spring break?
What's that?
Just do the same thing as you did last weekend and just text me in the mornings, let me know what's going on and all that.
For sure.
Okay.
I'm a senior this year. I do hope to go to college. I would love to. I'm not really sure what I want to study at this point. I'm in between engineering and medicine, and I think it's a very real possibility for me.
My big hope for Kalen is that he continues to push through in his journey on recovery. Like, I believe in him. And I hope that he can learn to believe in himself. He has a lot to offer.
So you're at the action point inside of your recovery.
Right. I had so many dreams and plans for myself when I was younger. During my addiction, I just didn't care about my hopes anymore. I had no hope.
We had and have had the opportunity to see the beauty in recovery, and that's the gift that keeps giving and the one I'm committing to paying forward to other families.
The one message that is constantly pounded into you by society is just stop using.
Not long ago in Oakland, California, I was asked by a group of children what to do if they were offered drugs.
And we've done this for decades.
And I answered, just say no.
When Nancy delivered the message of just say no, drugs don't work, she had been prescribed benzodiazepine for years.
We can help by using every opportunity to force the issue of not using drugs to the point of making others uncomfortable.
She was addressing an illness in her life that she needed medications for. A lot of people that use street medications are using them for the exact same reason that Nancy was using hers.
It is incredibly important that people start stepping out about this and that we see all the different faces of addiction so that people can identify and not feel so alone.
If we ever see an open sky, I'm gonna catch a falling star. And if we ever get a chance to be who
we're seeing this kind of sea change away from kind of this idea that substance use, that addiction has anything to do with your moral character, and this greater recognition of it as a medical condition.
Rescue breathing. When they go out, you want to lay them on their back, tilt the head back, pinch the nose, cover their mouth. To tackle the stigma of substance use, I think we just have to keep talking about it. I think we have to change the language. I think we have to educate people.
People are able to say, hey, yeah, I used to do heroin. It's something that I was able to get through. And that stigma ending and allowing for people to know that there is help available out there is something that's huge.
I don't see the war as much as us, them. I see it as a war on ignorance, a war on people who are digging in out of fear.
But we also understand that if we can reduce the amount of drugs coming in from the cartels and drug trafficking organizations, that does add value to our communities and makes them safer.
And then for those people that are already addicted, we have to have medical help for them and provide the resources they need so that they can beat their addiction.
Central Texas has some of the best treatment centers in the country, but you got to have a lot of resources to get into these treatment centers.
Here you go. It's about 2 weeks ago. I was gonna quit and try to figure out a way to get sober, and I was able to do it, and I got sober, and Caitlin was still using, and so I relapsed, but I think we're gonna try to hit the road. Our plan is to go to Oregon, maybe go through California or something, but you know, keep our mind occupied just on the road and enjoying the road, and once we can get past being sick, I think that'll be motivation enough to stay clean.
If I can at least help one person realize what this is doing to not only our country, but the entire world, then it's worth something.
Opioid addiction doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care about your age, if you're educated, or what color you are. The CDC says 115 Americans die from opioid overdoses every day, and that number will likely rise. It's not an unwinnable war, but as you've just seen, it's one that takes an entire community to wage. Coming up on Spectrum News, we continue the opioid discussion with a special town hall hosted by Meg Bonacorsi. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ed Greenberger. Good night.